few more. All right, we're live, guys. Thanks for joining us on the webinar portion of this and also on Facebook. We appreciate you. And today, of course, we've got Business Video School, and we'll be talking about StreamYard in just a minute. But before we do that, this time I want to do a shout out to Business Video School because they've been doing this for, I don't know, 4 months with us.
I think so, yeah.
And you guys keep on bringing amazing value. You guys prepare way ahead. And just the outlines that you create are amazing for us. So first, I want to thank you for that, dude. Great job, great value. Everybody that joins these always says you guys do amazing. And Vanessa does amazing on creating these presentations. So
right, of course.
I know she spends hours doing these, and we get through them in what, a few minutes?
Yeah, 45 minutes or so for many hours of design work.
So we'll get into that. This is going to be a fun one because I've used StreamYard before, and it's just going to be great. But first, Nick, you have Business Video School. You have a discount. So before we get started, show me that good stuff so people know about it and people can sign up because this ends tomorrow. It's 50% off. It's a month-to-month access to everything they've created and their courses, helping you through video, showing you what you should be posting, what you should be creating, also showing you how to edit, how to work Facebook, how to work TikTok, how to do everything in regards to video. And instead of it being $97, which isn't already expensive, by the way, it's only $48.50. So do me a favor, check them out, sign up, even if you're kind of wondering what the heck this is. This is like a master class for video. So do yourself a huge favor. Get with the trend that you need to be on if you're not already on this and sign up. It's that link is right there. If you guys can post it on the chat as well, but it's 50% off. Use the code word campus and you'll start off at $48.50 instead of $97 a month. Jeff, Nick, anything you want to add before we get going?
I do. I was just chatting with Richard in the comments in the chat, talking about, he was catching our conversation before we started about, you know, when is it going to slow down? Is the business going to, the market going to slow down when school starts? And Tristan says probably not, because, you know, the whole schooling system is going to be different this year. And Richard says as soon as all the job losses hit, it will slow down. And there's no way of talking ourselves out of this. There's a recession, blah, blah, blah. And he's probably right. And that is more reason why, we've been talking about this lately, it's more reason why you need tools like these, that you need to be honing your skills, because when that happens, the best of the best business doesn't necessarily rewind. It continues forward. They still stay strong. They still differentiate themselves versus everybody else. And if I can stand on a mountaintop and say, this is why you need something like Business Video School and why we love it, because we are passionate about it, because it's made a big difference in our businesses. Yeah. Man, I couldn't think of a better reason.
Well, it's quality too, Jeff. It's not just a whole bunch of garbage that people show up and say, well, let's just talk about this today. It's actually calculated. They prepare a lot. Yeah. So a lot of that is huge value because they're just teeing you up for it and saying, hey, here it is. Use social media, use Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, use all of these outlets that are free. And we're going to show you how to do it best with video. So Nick, I don't want to keep on going. Let's get started. Guys, do me a favor and just sign up for a month to take a look at it. So do that for me. Do that for Jeff. Here we go. Nick, back to you, buddy.
Appreciate it. Thanks for the plug. It's good stuff. So if we have time, you know, towards the end or maybe halfway through, we'll take a second to maybe chat about some of the other facets of the school. But we got some good stuff for you today because we are talking about StreamYard. And I have been using StreamYard for about a month now. I love this thing, man. StreamYard is absolutely amazing. This is the kind of stuff that is going to really up your video game. So this is primarily a live streaming tool. But I want you to think of it as if you're going to get online, if you're going to do any sort of interview or conversation style videos, it's awesome for that. It's awesome for presentation. So I know a lot of you actually use Zoom to record yourself doing a presentation of some kind. It's not going to replace every single scenario for that sort of thing, but it is very, very good for presentations as well. And so we've switched a lot of what we're doing to StreamYard. We actually have a piece of software that normally costs about $900 for live streaming. And obviously it does things you can't do with StreamYard, but we've been using StreamYard more than that software. So that should just give you kind of an idea of like, for the right context, if you're the kind of person that needs to be online using live video in particular, this is going to be a huge help to you. So StreamYard, in my mind, kind of fits into that category of, you know, a tool that's intentionally kept simple for specific use cases.
There you go.
And it works really well for those use cases, right? So it reminds me a lot of kind of what Instagram has done over the years, where they created apps that would do one thing really well and really simply, but it was the only thing that app would do, right? Like Boomerang, for instance, came out as its own independent app initially, and it only did one thing. And so StreamYard is kind of, it does more than one thing, but it is intentionally kept simple, but does those simple things super, super well. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. So, you know, the basic things you're going to be able to do with StreamYard is you can stream webinars or videos. You can have guests on, so you can have multiple people on the screen at the same time. And if you saw our promotional video, me, Jeff, and Tristan actually were all in that video together on StreamYard. You can go to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Periscope, and LinkedIn, which is, you know, primarily everything you're going to ever need. Now, on LinkedIn, you will need to be approved to do live streamed videos there. Not everybody has access to that necessarily, but there are a lot of cool opportunities. You can also simultaneously stream to multiple places at once, which is really nice. The other thing you can do is you can actually record the videos, right? So you don't even have to go live. If you want to just get on and bring in a second or third person and record the conversation you're having and then maybe even edit it later, you can do that as well. So that's a really cool feature of this, and it makes it, you know, super easy to get stuff recorded. So what we're going to try to do today is basically just give you an overview of the platform. I posted some links in the chat. Obviously, there's some explanation on each of the links what they are, but one of them is a link to sign up for StreamYard. And if you use our link, I do believe you'll get a $10 credit. So if you use that, you're going to save $10, you know, kind of a no-brainer. There is a free version. You can do a lot of stuff with the free version. Obviously, if you want to start there, kind of experiment a little, that makes sense. And then you can upgrade later. The base pro plan starts at $25 a month. I think that's probably the plan most people would need. So it is pretty reasonably priced, right? So let's just kind of run through first here, just what are some of the things that you can do here, and then I'm going to show you examples of them in the rest of this presentation. So I already mentioned the first, which is you can simultaneously stream to multiple platforms. So that's really cool. So if you want to be able to go live on Facebook and YouTube at the same time, or if you want to be able to go live on multiple places, so like if you have a group and you want to go live there, but also on your business page, you can do that. So that's really nice. You can record videos. We talked about that already. You can add your own personal branding, and it's really easy to do, right? So you can upload your logo, and you can have your logo in your video, right? You can add anything you want. So you can design, you know, kind of an outline for it. You can have, you know, links to your website. You can put your phone number on the screen. All of that stuff is super easy to do. You can use green screens. You can actually put different backdrops behind you. So there are some similarities here between Zoom and StreamYard. Some of the kind of more popular features of Zoom are also available there. You can share your screen, right? I mentioned that it's great for presentations. There's actually several formats in which you can see the screen. So that, in my mind, is a little bit more flexible than Zoom traditionally is, right? So on Zoom, you can share your screen. You can't necessarily control where it is that you show up on the viewer's side, right? They have a little bit of control there. But you can, with StreamYard, you can actually select a couple different layouts where either the person is seeing just the screen, or they're seeing the screen plus your video, or they're seeing you kind of equal size to the screen. And I'm going to show you examples of all that today. You have control over the shots, so you can change your shots while live. So all you got to do is basically click back and forth between the different shot options that you have, and it's going to switch, you know, live switch as you're going. So that in particular was one of the reasons that we bought, it's called Wirecast, this much more expensive software. And obviously with Wirecast, it's totally customizable, so you can create as many different shots as you want. StreamYard obviously has a certain fixed kind of, certain sets of shots that you can use, but you can switch between them live, which is super helpful. You can see the comments. So if people comment on your live video, you can bring those onto the screen. You can actually take the comment somebody left and put it on the screen for everybody else to see, which is super cool and very helpful. It also makes it a little bit easier to kind of do back and forth. So if you're live streaming and somebody wants to interact with you, that makes that nice and easy. You can privately chat with the other hosts. So that's another feature of Zoom that was brought over. And then if you need to go a little bit more advanced, you can stream with a custom RTMP output. Basically what that means is that if you don't see the setup that you want for your live video, if you're on a other platform or whatever. If it works with the RTMP format, you can set it up to work with StreamYard here. So that gives you additional flexibility. All right, so let's take a look at some of the differences in the pricing plans really quickly.
Hey, Nick, if I can chime in real quick too, and if I can say to our audience today, selfishly, I believe I'm the one who suggested StreamYard as a topic because I've watched webinars with some of the people that I look up to that do some really awesome live streaming, and StreamYard to me, here's the best way I would describe it. You'll probably never hear Nick say it. It's sexy, man. It's so much sexier than Zoom. The look of it, the feel of it, the fact that you can quote unquote call out comments, which people love, by the way. Like if you're doing live streams and you have an audience, whether it's 2 people or 200 people, people love it when you acknowledge them in their webinars, as most of you can probably attest to around this. And StreamYard is really freaking sexy.
There are limitations too. I love that it's super sexy. That is by far the best. The challenge though, when we're comparing it to, let's say we want to do like a webinar style thing, there is no sign up for webinar, right? There is no feature at all. So that is a limitation, but you also have to know that StreamYard wasn't built for that, right? StreamYard was simply built for presentation style type, going live and only holding up to 5 or 10 on-screen participants.
Yeah, that's a 10. Yep.
10. So there is that, but it's still great because it's affordable and you can do so much with it.
Well, and that's one thing I actually like about it is that it is intentionally just for specific use cases, right? So it's not a webinar tool. If you want a webinar, if you want to have people register in order to see the video, it's not the right tool for that. But there are a lot of situations where going live and having the kind of control that you have, but intentionally limited, right? Like if you're going to see this in a second, you have like 6 or 7 total buttons you can click. If you have 50 different buttons you can click, it gets overwhelming. I think that's one of the things with Zoom that does confuse people is there's a lot of settings. I mean, we've done up to 3 hours of total training on Zoom in the business video school. So there's actually 3 one-hour workshops on all the different settings that you have control on. It with Zoom, with some of them, if you don't turn them on before you start your meeting, you don't actually have access to them anymore, or you have to dig into a bunch of menus to turn them back on. StreamYard's very simple compared to that, right? So that's you got to keep that in mind, right? It's not going to solve all your video problems. It's not meant for that, but for what it does, it works really, really well. So you can see on the screen here the different tiers for the pricing plans. This is the monthly cost, right? So if you pay for it annually, you'll save a little bit of money. The big difference is being that if you pay, you're not going to have the StreamYard branding. You're going to be able to have more people on there, and you're not going to have streaming limits, right? So if you don't want to have, so honestly, I mean, the StreamYard branding is not all that obnoxious. If you want to give it a try with the free version, you can have up to 6 people. It's a pretty generous trial version. And I think you can basically use that free version indefinitely. So only when you feel like you want to take things to a higher level, customize things, add your own branding, that kind of stuff, that's when you'd want to spend some money on it, right? And like I said, if you use that code that I put into the chat, you will get a $10 credit when you do actually sign up for it, okay? So what we're going to do is I'm just going to kind of run through some of the different parts of it. We took screenshots of it rather than showing it to you live, primarily because when you try to use 2 video communication tools at the same time on the same computer, you generally create some conflicts, and it's usually hard to see what's going on. But these screenshots should definitely give you a solid idea, right? So the first thing I want to show you is the different destinations, all of the different places that you can distribute your video. Pretty much anything on Facebook is going to work. Pretty much anything on LinkedIn. Again, if you've been approved for live video on LinkedIn, you can stream to your YouTube channel. You can do Periscope. You got Twitch in there. And then, like I said, the custom RTMP setting if you want to do something that doesn't fit within those existing destinations, right?
Nick, what's RTMP stand for?
I don't know what the 4 words are, but I know that it's a standard for broadcasting live video. So if you have, for instance, like when you create a live video on Facebook, you can set it up using RTMP settings. So it's something to do with kind of like a server destination and how the data is transferred and making sure, basically it's kind of giving an address to the software. So you're saying, hey, you're going to broadcast this to this particular destination, and then that RTMP setting is going to accept it, right?
Yeah, it's allowing the streaming audio and video and data to go over, and it's called real-time messaging protocol.
Damn it! I wanted to search that first, Tristan.
Oh, sorry, Jeff. Sorry, dude. Sorry. All right.
Yes.
There's a question for you. I don't know which one of you said this, but Deborah says, when you say up to 6 people, do you mean viewers or participants, speakers, hosts? I didn't get that. When did you say that?
Well, so you can have up to 6 on screen. So that's not viewers. You can have unlimited viewers, right? The limitations of the viewers would be based on the platform where you're streaming it, and most of them don't have limits on that. But that's how many people you can have on your broadcast. So with the paid version, you have up to 10. With the free version, you have up to 6. So that means you would have 6 people. So like right now you're seeing us here on the screen, like you could have up to 6 people on that version, right? I don't know what the Zoom limits are for panelists on webinars, probably higher than that, but that's what that means, right? So that means people that you would see on the video.
Perfect. Good.
Cool.
Continue.
All right, so once you get your destinations set, you're gonna get started here. So this is what you're gonna do is you got your destination selected. They've been added to the software, which you probably wanna do that. You can technically do it as you go to create a broadcast, but it's probably something you can go ahead and do first. And again, one of the things I love about this software, if you look at the left-hand side, there's 2 tabs. That's it. Just 2 options, right? Destinations, go in there, set up your destinations, and then you go to broadcasts, and everything else is done through that tab, right? So we're not looking at a whole bunch of different things that we got to figure out how to learn. So the next thing you're going to do is you click on broadcast, right? And you're going to see a screen that looks like this here on the right-hand side.
Okay.
And you just click on the button that says create a broadcast, right? So it's going to get you started. Once you do that, you're going to see this layout that you see here on your screen. And so the top of it is where you're broadcasting to. All you're going to have available are the options that you've already added, right? So you can add additional options, obviously, by pressing on that plus button there. But if you'd already set these up, they're ready to go, right? What you do is you just click on the ones, you turn them on, essentially, where you want this to get broadcast to. So if you only want to broadcast to one destination, only select the one. But if you want to simulcast, you want to broadcast to multiple places at once, just pick the ones that you want. Then you're going to fill out your title and your description, right? So depending on where this is being broadcast to, those will also show up on those platforms, right? So if you're on Facebook, you're going to see a title that would be, in this case, Branding 101, and then the description above the video would be whatever we type into that box, right? So you can see an example of that. Easy enough. It's going to happen automatically once you hit the Go Live button. It'll post all that for you. And then you also have this option for scheduling your video later. So what's cool about this is when you schedule a video in advance, and in particular on Facebook, it's going to put out a post, right? So that's where you can customize the post. So you can see that we added this graphic here, and it's going to post this, and it's going to look like this. So this is the screenshot of what it would look like on the phone. And what's nice is that you can tell people ahead of time that you're going to go live, and they can click that Get Reminder button, and it's going to remind them on Facebook that you're going live, right? So if you know, for instance, I have an open house. I'm going to do a virtual open house, Friday at 1 p.m., for example, right? And I know that now I can go in, schedule it through StreamYard, and it can create this preview post. Now, you can technically do that with any live video. You can have it scheduled, and it'll create this preview. But of all the ways I've done it before, StreamYard seems to be kind of the most fluid, the easiest. It's a super simple process, so I really like it, right? So if you're going to do something where you're scheduling in advance, go ahead and check that box, and then it's going to give people that reminder. Now, once you move on from there, so you've either, oh, go ahead, Tristan.
There's a question before you move on here.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer. Stephanie's asking, is the schedule option part of the free plan?
I do not actually know that. We didn't check on that part. So I would assume so, because it didn't seem to suggest that that wasn't part of that free plan. But it would be easy enough to check. Go ahead and get your account set up, and then go see if it'll let you schedule it. But so yeah, we'll check on that. Maybe if Vanessa can check while we're streaming here and let us know. I'll answer that for in just a minute. So once you get started, and was that the only question, Tristan? Was there anything else?
That's it. That's the important one. Yeah.
So this is what you're going to see within the studio. Okay, so once you get started, either if you did schedule it or however it was you decided to do it, if you went to the next step, this is the studio, and this is where all of your controls are, right? So I want to show you kind of a few of these one step at a time. The first thing I want to show you is once you're in here, you can now invite other people to your stream, right? So you don't have to wait until you're right at the point where you want to go live. I would actually encourage you to give yourself at least 15 minutes, right? So give yourself some buffer. Make sure you get on there a little bit early. And what you're going to do is you push on the button at the bottom there where it says invite. This little box is going to pop up. And you got 3 options, Gmail, email, and Messenger, or you can just copy it to clipboard, right? it's that simple. I mean, this is, again, another thing I really like about StreamYard is if you want someone to come on your video with you, you just send them that link. That's it. They click the link. It takes them to StreamYard. I don't think they really need to sign up for anything. It works directly through the browser, so they're not installing any software or anything like that. Again, super simple. Now, Zoom is also pretty simple in this sense. I'm not saying that they necessarily beat Zoom in this case, but it is really easy. It's certainly not any harder, right? So you copy that link, you go over, you send it to whoever's supposed to be on that conversation with you. They click it, and what will happen is once they join, they're going to show up down here at the bottom. So you can see the three of us, this is Vanessa, Nick, and then my the second option there is that I had shared my screen, right? So I've got these three different video inputs, and whenever they join, they're going to show up down here. Now, they're not automatically going to be shown on the screen. You're going to have to add them to the stream, but they will show up down here, and it makes it super easy to then add them or take them off of what's being shown on the screen, all right? So that's how you invite somebody. That gets you going. And actually, this is, I'm glad this is in here. This is what they would see if they were setting their settings, right? So they come on, they're ready to start streaming. They're going to have a couple options. And again, this is very similar to Zoom. A lot of this feels like it was in some ways sort of based on Zoom. So what you're going to see when you open up the settings here is you've got your typical kind of basic general settings. Then you've got camera, audio, green screen, and guests, okay? So camera, again, all you really have is you can select which camera you want to use. And then here is one distinct difference here is that the highest definition you can use through StreamYard is 720p, all right? So it is not full HD, and it certainly isn't 4K. So if that is an issue for you, that is one of the places where you might have some trouble. You might not want to use StreamYard if you need super high definition. But most streaming on most platforms ends up being 720p anyway. And so I imagine they just capped it at 720 because there's very few cases where you're going to be able to output it at a higher rate anyway. And that probably kept their software much simpler and reduces the amount of data that they have to handle. So it does make sense, right?
So in this case, Nick,
Yeah.
I want to interrupt you there because for those people that are looking for StreamYard as a place they can record interviews and then post them on YouTube, this may not be the one for you because you would like to have higher definition or higher quality video when you upload it to YouTube, if you can, right?
Right.
That's just something that I wanted to point out there.
Yeah, no, and that's a fair point, right? I mean, that's what, like I said, this has a very specific use case and it does it very well. And there's going to be other cases where you can make it work, and then there's a bunch of situations where it's just not the right tool for you. So to be honest, when we do our sort of interview type YouTube videos, we do something like that, we actually record both people independently. So we have them set up their own camera and record themselves. And so we set the Zoom computer over off to the side of the camera. They look into the primary camera, which is usually a DSLR or a mirrorless camera, and they record that, and then they send us that file and we combine them, right? So we actually have either 1080p or 4K footage to work with, and it looks a lot better. You're never going to get something to look that good through a webcam, no matter what. There's just no way to do it, right? Especially when you're recording the throughput image, because there's very few software, really it's about your internet connection. There's very few people that have a strong enough internet connection that they're going to get a full HD picture over to you consistently throughout an interview. There's going to be some cases where it's going to drop out a little. You're going to have some hiccups there. So we actually record those separately, and then we combine them later. It's definitely an extra step, but you will get the best possible video by doing that, right?
Question for you. John Sanders has a great question. To clarify, when you're inviting someone, you're inviting them to join your call, not simply inviting them to watch your StreamYard live video, correct?
Right. Yeah, you're only that's to invite them to be on the broadcast. So if you invite somebody, they're going to have the opportunity to be on your broadcast with you. You don't have to invite anybody outside of that because it's just a normal live video on the platform. So you can go onto those platforms and invite people to come watch those live videos, but that's typically hard to do because you're literally in the middle of doing a live video, right? So if you, I mean, this is a kind of quick side note, if you do a lot of live stuff, try to partner with somebody that can do the promotion for you, right? So when you go live, they're sitting on a computer, or, they don't even have to be in the same place, right? But they're the one out there inviting people to see the live video and sharing it all over the place, and whatever other promotion you want to do. Because once you're live, unless you want to be, sitting here doing stuff and not really paying attention to your live stream, it's very hard to do that stuff, right? So I've often had, Vanessa will often help me with that kind of thing. Okay, so that's the settings here. Let's move on. And obviously you got some control over the guests. So can the guest see the viewer comments? Do you want to play a sound when a guest enters? And then do you want the guests to be authenticated before they're able to join? You can technically ban guests. So if you ever had somebody on that started doing something they weren't supposed to and you don't want them to ever be able to come back, you can ban them. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to be banning anybody, but there is an option for that. All right. So we do want to take a quick break, just 30 seconds here to mention this to you. If you haven't been on one of our webinars before, we have an option for you to get some free advice, right? So if you're not quite ready to join Business Video School yet, or even if you are, but you want just additional value for free, what we can do is we got 2 things that we're going to get you. Number 1 is that if you register on this list, you will receive a copy of the webinar slides. So if you really want a copy of the slides, make sure you're on the list. Generally, we send everybody copies of the slides from every one of the webinars. And then you're also going to get video tips. Now, the way this works is for the first 2 weeks, you're going to get a free video tip every single day. Now, you don't have to obviously watch all of them, but you're going to get an email with a video embedded in the email. It's super slick. And basically, it's a whole bunch of little 1 to 3 minute video tips, right? So things like where to look when you're making a video, how to look better on camera, how to position your lights, how to do live videos on Facebook directly through Facebook, things like that, right? So if you want those tips, you're just going to want to go to bit.ly/freevidtips, or you're going to want to send a text to the number 44222 with just the letters LEARNVIDEO, no spaces, no quotes, and it's going to ask you for your email. Both of those work. I also copied that link into the chat. It's in that list of links that I put up earlier. So if I get a chance, I'll repost that, but that is an option for you to get some free education, right? So if you are trying to get better at video, definitely recommend being on there because we got a whole bunch of great content for you. So I'm going to keep moving. You're going to see in the bottom left-hand side of the screen, that link is still there. So you have another minute or 2 to get to it. But I'm going to keep moving because we got some more to cover. So all right, so let's talk. The next thing I want to talk about here is I want to talk about the controls of the guests, right? So there's a couple things you need to keep an eye on here. So the first thing that's going to happen is what's going to happen, the guest is going to appear here down at the bottom, all right? Now, just because they're down there does not mean that they're going to show up on camera. You have to add them to the stream. So what's going to happen, and I don't necessarily have a picture of this, but if you hover over a guest, once they've joined your studio, there's going to be a button right in the middle of them that says add to stream, okay? You click that button and now they're on the screen, okay? You can remove them from the screen as well, so you can add them and take them off, but you're going to want to click that to make sure that they're on the screen, right? So we're going to assume that you did that. You have not gone live yet, so this is still in the studio before anything has gone live. So there's, if you need to add them and take them back off or make some adjustments, you still have time to do that, right? But what you're going to find is once you've added them to the stream, what you're going to do from that point forward is you're going to use these buttons, which we blew up here. This is basically this section blown up, right? So you can see that down here a little bit more clearly. And there's 2 spots where you're going to control the shot, right? So you're going to control what the people who are watching are seeing on their screen. This row of buttons here, these are your different shots. There's 6 of them that you can switch back and forth between. And then there is one other place that you have to keep an eye on, which is the individual shots. So you see this little box in the left-hand corner of each of our individual shots that looks like a little head and shoulders there. That button will make whatever image, it'll make whichever stream full screen, okay? So if I want just Vanessa as the full screen, I would click on her box. If I want myself just as the full screen, I'd click on my box, etc., right? Here's the thing, is that doesn't kick the other people off the stream. They're still there, they're just hidden, right? Now, obviously, I could do the same thing. I could remove them from the stream, but that's not good. You don't want to be messing around with that while you're live because you may forget that you took them out, and now all of a sudden you're clicking, the two person button, and it's not doing anything, right? So use those to bring somebody full screen. So here's a situation, right? If you're both talking and you ask the person a question and they have a really long-winded answer and you're just kind of sitting there looking into the camera like an idiot, and I've been there before, right? You would want to go ahead and switch to their full shot. So I'd come down here and I'd click on, in this case, Vanessa's full shot there. And that way she's the only thing on screen, and then I don't have to worry about, sitting there and just smiling into the camera for 2 minutes while she responds, right? And then when she's done, I can switch back. So let's talk next about these buttons along the bottom here and show you what they do. The first one, obviously, is just a single person. So if you click on that one, that always defaults to the host. So whoever's hosting the stream, whoever's controlling all of this, if you click on this first button in the list there, that's just you full size on the screen, okay? So keep that in mind. If you want the guest full size on the screen, you have to use their button on their input, okay? I don't know that there are some things about StreamYard. This obviously a startup. It's relatively new. So there are some things that I would like to see them improve or change. That is one of them. That's a little bit confusing to have to go down to the guest to do that, but that is one of the things that happens here. So this is just you. The next one is going to be the guest, but side by side, okay? So it's going to be still full screen, and that's an example of what you see up here in the left-hand corner. So this has me and Vanessa right next to each other, and if you add additional people, it just makes your section more and more narrow, right? So if you watch the promotional video for this, you saw me, Jeff, and Tristan all in the same screen, and you could basically just see our faces, right? Like you couldn't really see much around us. The challenge, if you have too many people and you use that shot, is that you're going to get a very small space, and if they're not right in the center of their camera, you may actually end up losing part of their face, okay? But it is a cool shot, and it still utilizes the full screen, so I think that is cool because that's going to look really good on social media. There's not a bunch of black space that's not being used, right? So that's the first of the options right there. The next button, so button number 3 here, is going to be this view you see here on the right, which is it's going to take the full shot for each of your guests and just fit them into the screen, okay? So you can see that it's still using my full camera shot, it's still using Vanessa's full camera shot, and if we had other people, it would do the same thing, and it would just make them smaller and smaller until they can all fit. So if you have 4, that's going to kind of fill up the screen kind of perfectly, so to speak. So if you have like 4, or probably if you had 8 as well, that would probably fill it up without too much black space. But it is going to leave a little bit of black space around each person. So keep in mind, a lot of people are seeing your live video on their phone, right? That's where a lot of people are watching this kind of content. So you want to make sure that you keep people as large as you can so that it looks really good, right? Now the next one here, and let me see if we have a picture of this. I'm not sure that we do, so I'm going to leave it here for a second. So this next button, so button number 4, is the kind of the crossover, right? This is the button between the individual people all on the screen and then having slides, because the remaining 3 buttons are related for screen share, right? So this next one is probably my least favorite, and here's why. What it does is it makes you, the host, really big, and it makes everybody else who's on the conversation really small along the side of the screen, right? Now, that could be cool if it was always the person who was talking that was biggest, right? So if it works that way, it would be a nice shot to have. It unfortunately does not, okay? The way it works is that it's only the host that is big, which, in my opinion and the way I've done a lot of this stuff, if you're hosting, you're probably asking the questions, which means you're probably not the one talking the majority of the time. Usually the person who's being interviewed is the one talking for the majority of the conversation, right? So I don't actually think that particular button is all that useful. It's only useful maybe if you're talking for a while and you've got a bunch of panelists and you kind of want to keep them on the screen, but make yourself, mostly full size. So again, I've hardly ever used that particular shot, but that's what it does. It's going to make the host full size, and it's going to put all the other guests along the outside. All right, so I actually already mentioned this, and Vanessa did include a picture of it. But again, if you want to have just the individual person on the screen, in this case, Vanessa was the host. So to make me full screen, she had to click on that little button there to put me as the only person on the screen. All right, so now let's talk about screen share. This is where this gets really cool. I think this is where you get some options that you would not have with Zoom. You have some additional control. So it's the same sort of situation through Zoom or StreamYard in terms of what you can share. So you click on the screen share button. It's going to let you share individual tabs from your browser. It'll also let you share your entire screen, right? So I typically strongly recommend sharing just an individual tab from your browser. That eliminates the possibility that you're accidentally going to show people stuff on your computer that you didn't mean to, right? So keep that in mind. That's going to be a good option for you. And once you click that screen share button, the remaining 3 buttons along the bottom of the screen here are going to be related to that screen share. So the first of those, there's an example of it right here. And what that's going to do is it kind of does a half and half. And what's cool is it actually sort of integrates the 2 shots there if you're looking closely, right? So the screen is actually slightly covering up my camera shot, And this is really, other than kind of custom designing this through something like, a much more expensive piece of software, this is the only case I've ever seen that sort of does that, right? So you get, I don't know if I'd quite call it like a television show sort of setup with sort of the picture-in-picture sort of effect. It looks a little like that, but that's kind of cool. Obviously, the downside of that is that most of the things you're going to share on your screen are probably too, there's too much detail, right? Because even here you can see it's already kind of hard to read where it says video school is in session. So depending on what your presentation is, that is a cool shot, especially when you first start, right? So you're doing kind of an intro and you've got your whatever your presentation is sort of over your shoulder. That's a good way to get started. And then you're going to probably want to switch to one of the larger shots, right? So the next over button is the one that does this, which is going to put whoever, again, is on the stream over to the side, and it's going to make the screen a lot bigger, right? So this is a good way to kind of minimize yourself. Now, the one thing it doesn't do, and I can see some people not liking this, is you can't put yourself in the corner, right? So like you can on Zoom, you cannot do that with StreamYard. So I would imagine, I'm not entirely sure why you can't, because obviously in this case they had the one shot over the top of the other, so they can do that. But I would imagine that's something that they will add soon, because that seems pretty obvious to me as an improvement here. But what you can do is you can put the slides to the side and you can have the individual videos along the edge there, right? And then that final button there, that just makes it full screen. So what that does is it takes all the people off of the screen. You're not going to see any of the individual video streams from any of the hosts, right, or the guests that are on the show. You're only going to see the screen share in that case. So that final button there is just the screen share. All right, so a couple other things before we get a couple other things to move on to here. Let's talk about brand. So this is another section here, which is really cool. I'm going to run through this fairly quickly. But this is one of the things that's really neat about StreamYard is that you can add a lot of this sort of custom stuff. So you've got your theme option here. That's going to be between minimal and default. What that does is it changes how the name looks in the bottom left-hand corner. It's kind of a small thing, but that is something you can adjust. You can add your logo here, right? So either you have the StreamYard logo. If you're using the free version, it's going to automatically include that, or you can add a logo of your own. You can have these overlays, right? So this is really cool. You can actually put some text or graphics on the screen with you. So this here is an example of an overlay that we designed. So this in the corner and this over in the other corner are going to show up on top of whatever it is you're broadcasting, right? So it doesn't matter if it's your video, if it's your screen share, you're going to see those overlays there on the screen. And then the final part I'll kind of point out here is that you can also have a background. So if you have a green screen and you want to do like the virtual background thing like you would with Zoom, you can do it, but you have to have a green or blue screen, all right? If you don't have one of those, you're not going to be able to use the virtual background. So Zoom, you can do it without the green screen, obviously. With StreamYard, you are going to need to have the green screen in order to do it, all right? And so here's an example of what that ends up looking like, which I think is pretty nifty. It's pretty cool looking. So you're going to have this up in the top left corner, this in the bottom left corner, but really you have completely control over that. So if you want things in different corners, you can do it however you want. And then you can also see here, we had our logo up in the top right corner. And so again, super simple. You can change this stuff while you're streaming. This menu sits here the entire time. So if I want to turn logos off or on, if I want to turn on different overlays, if you want to put your phone number up here, if you're doing something for your business, you want to make it easy for people to contact you, you have all of those options, right? So this is another one of the aspects of StreamYard that I really think is cool. I really think
it's probably my favorite feature, man.
Right, yeah.
That is super good. I love it. You can jump on quickly, do a quick message on Facebook, on your business page, and just go on community and do that. So talk whatever you want. That alone is my favorite feature.
Yeah. No, and I agree. I think that is probably the coolest part of this, which is, it's super easy to add your branding. I mean, you can add whatever you want. And if you combine this with, if you hop over to Canva, which is a free graphic design tool, they have a lot of templates for this kind of stuff. You just throw it up, you put it together, you get it ready, you upload it into StreamYard, and it's something that you can use at any time, right? So no matter what you're doing, you can look professional. I think that's one of the things that this does for you really affordably and really simply is it's going to make you look more professional than your competitors, right? That's a big part of what we focus on in business video schools. Everybody's going to be doing video eventually. We're getting more and more down that path at this point, but what can you do to distinguish yourself? What can you do to look a little bit more professional, a little bit more inviting, a little bit friendlier than the next person? And this is a great example of where that's really easy. All right, so we're getting towards the end here. We always mention this really quickly here, which is that if you're a broker or a team lead or somebody that has an organization where you think this webinar would be helpful, if it would be useful to teach your agents or your members of your team, we would be happy to do it for you for free, right? So what you'd want to do is just text the word webinar to the phone number you see on the screen, 636-541-7651. We'll get back to you with a list of the options for the webinars because we can do this one. We also have some others available as well. And we'll go ahead and get that scheduled. So I just usually like to mention that for about 30 seconds during each of these presentations and then keep moving. So we got just a couple more things to show you and then we're going to get wrapped up here. There are also options for banners. So banners are another really cool feature. You type them out and you can either have them scroll or you can have them be fixed. So you see both examples on the screen. Obviously, you're not seeing it scroll, but this one over here is an example that would be scrolling across the screen while you're talking, just like a news ticker on a news show. So I think that's really cool. Again, it's really simple. You just literally type out in this box here what you want it to say, and then you just click on it. You click on banners, and you click on the one you want to show. It shows up on your screen. Again, this is like stupid simple. This is another version of it down here. It's just that this one doesn't move, right? So again, really cool feature there. You just go to banners on the right-hand side of the screen. That one's really simple. And then you can also add comments. So this is another of the features that I think is really neat is that obviously when you're live streaming, there's gonna be comments below the video or sometimes they kind of overlay them, but this allows you to call out the comments, right? It allows you to put the comment directly into your video. And so what that allows you to do is it gives you control so that you can show people certain comments, right? Some comments are just somebody saying hi or commenting in response to something you mentioned. Others are some sort of insight or somebody maybe giving you a quick testimonial. Oh my gosh, I love working with this guy. He's so awesome. That might be something you want to pull up and put on your screen. So if you go to the comments section, that's where you're going to see those. And again, it's as simple as just clicking it to turn it on and show it on the screen, and then clicking it again to turn it off and get rid of it, right? You're going to see on the right-hand side here, there are some types of platforms where you are not going to have the ability to see the comment, but there are some nuances there. But so YouTube, Periscope, Twitch, and Facebook pages, you'll see the comments and you'll see who posted it. When you get into Facebook groups, you will see the comment, but you don't necessarily see who posted it for privacy reasons if you're in a private Facebook group. So there are a few kind of requirements or restrictions there, but in most cases, you will be able to get access to the comments and put them up on the screen, which is a really cool feature. All right, and then finally, let's see here. Obviously, probably the most important part is how do you actually go live? So you've done all this stuff, you've gotten you put all your branding on there, you've got your shots set up, you're ready to roll. All you got to do here is you click on the Go Live button up in the top corner, and then you click Go Live, right? So there are two steps, and I always, I think that's one of the things that scares people when they go live is what happens when I click the button. So you click the button, it's going to ask you, are you sure you're ready to go? You click Go Live, and that's going to start the broadcast. What'll happen is like any normal live video, you're going to see kind of a little spinning circle, and when the live icon shows up in the top right, well, when you're looking at it, it's the top left corner, but when the live icon shows up on your video, that means you're live, and that's when you're going to start talking, right? So it's kind of tricky because you got to kind of look at the screen to see that it pops up, and then you got to look up at the camera to start talking. But if you do it a few times, you'll get used to that transition. And if you do that cleanly, then you have a really nice beginning to your video. It's okay if you bumble it a little bit. People expect that with live content. But after you do it, you're going to get used to the idea that you click the Go Live button. Usually it takes between 3 and 10 seconds. It's going to go live. You're going to see the icon, and then you start talking to the camera. Same functionality for ending your broadcast. There are 2 steps. So you click on the End Broadcast button, and it's going to ask you to confirm it. You got to click that button again, right? So you click it, and it's going to say End the broadcast, not yet, or End. And you click on End, and then you're done, right? And as soon as you click that, then you're out and you can start, relaxing or blow off some steam, whatever it is, right? But you do have to click both. So you can't just click the one button and then it automatically ends. So that is, if I have a complaint, like that's one thing about it that I'm not a huge fan of, because you kind of have to look away from the camera for a second, find the end button and click it. It's kind of a minor gripe, but that is one downside to it. All right.
Easy. All right. Where do we sign up?
Yeah, well, I got that for you. Just one last mention here is just that you got to test your internet connection. I've mentioned this before. Anytime you live stream, make sure ahead of time that you've done a little bit of research and you have enough bandwidth. If you don't have at least 3 megabits per second download and 2 megabits per second upload, you're going to have trouble with live streaming. I only mention that because I have had people be like, I don't know what's going on. I've checked all my settings, all that, and they just never thought to actually double check that their internet was fast enough for it. Okay, so that's kind of my final point there. Okay, so we got a few seconds left. I know we wanted to wrap up a little bit early today, but I just wanted to ask you, you know, we've been getting this a lot within Business Video School. How do you feel about trying to fit video into your business right now? I know we were talking before we went live here about how busy the market is right now, and we've actually had some people tell us that they felt like they're too busy to make video. And I've got some solutions for you I'm going to mention here in just a second, but I'm curious if you feel the same way, because here's the problem, right? Right now, everybody might be busy and things are going really well for most of us, it sounds like, but what happens when it slows back down? And I think Jeff may have mentioned this at the beginning of our presentation. It's the people that have stayed top of mind while you're busy that stay busy when the market slows down, right? It's the people that, hey, I don't have time for video. I got to just, you know, skip over all my marketing while I handle my clients for a couple months. That tends to mean you're going to be slow when the market slows down, right? So when it's busy, everybody tends to eat and everybody has a good time. When it's not, it's the people who continue to market themselves that have the business, right? So we actually have something that I want to talk about today that I think is going to help you a lot. And this is the first time I've ever mentioned this on one of these webinars because it is completely new. So what we've done is we looked at the kind of situation over the past couple months. We realized we're going to hit this very, very busy period, and we wanted our students to be able to continue making video. But if you don't have time to come to classes and sit through, you know, multiple hour-long courses and digest all this content, you might feel like you don't have time to do video. So we actually created something that we call weekly video recipes, all right? This is the easiest way to make a video that I think we've ever seen. Here's how it works. Every week, we come up with at least one idea for a video that would be a good thing for a real estate agent to post that week, right? So it's always going to be something that's specifically for real estate because that's our target. That's what most of our students are. They're in that industry. And so we create this video. We shoot it with a phone, and we intentionally make it as super simple to make as possible, right? We send that video to all of our students, and we say, hey, do you want to make your own version of this week, right? They say yes or no. It's literally just a button that they click in the email. And if they say yes, we then send them step-by-step instructions on how to make the video. We send them a script that they can tweak to customize for their business. So anything that's personal to you, you're going to customize for your business. And we also send you copy that you can post with the video, right? We're literally doing everything for you except for, you know, being on camera. And then if you don't want to edit the video, we also have a partner that we have a deal with that we can refer you to, and they'll edit the video. Most of the time, it's just $50, right? So it's super, super affordable. Most videos cost hundreds of dollars to get edited. So if you feel like you're too busy to make video right now, this is the way to do it, okay? You don't have to make every single one. It's certainly not a requirement, but if you want the easiest way that we've ever heard of to make video consistently in your business, these weekly video recipes are definitely the opportunity for you, right? So that's something that every single one of our students is going to get. Now, there's a bunch of other stuff, and the reason that I don't want to talk too much about the other stuff is because if you are busy right now, you're not necessarily going to want to go through our courses. That's something you want to come back to maybe in another few weeks or a couple months. But right now, you got to be putting content out. You got to stay top of mind with people, right? So those video recipes are great. We have a lot of 1-hour workshops, which are kind of a one-time thing. You can pop into our school, watch the content when you have some time, and then apply it to your business later. We've covered Zoom recently. We covered how to use the DJI Mobile 3 gimbal. So if you're interested in shooting your own video with a gimbal, we talked about that. We got a Canva tutorial we're doing soon. We're talking about how to shoot your own home tour videos on your phone, how to edit them on your phone. We got a lot of good workshops for you here. So again, if you want to save 50% on your first month, this is only going on for 2 more days, today and tomorrow. We are giving people 50% off. You just want to use code CAMPUS when you enroll, right? And to get to the enrollment page, just go to bit.ly/BVS enroll. We put that link in the chat, which I think I'll just go ahead and post it again now real quick. Oh, actually, it looks like somebody just put it in there, so appreciate that, Tristan. But that's it, right? So that's what we got going on. I'm not even going to talk about the courses. I don't think people have time for this stuff right now. If you do, we've got courses for you. We got a ton of stuff for you. I mean, the way to think about the school is this is the comprehensive way to start using video in your business, okay? If you've ever felt like you could have used somebody to hold you accountable, if you've ever had questions about what kinds of videos to make, what kind of equipment you should be using, how you should post your videos, what platforms to post them to, all that kind of stuff, we literally cover all of it And the reason it's a school and it's not just an individual course is that there was just frankly too much. We've been working on this for, it's getting close to a year now since we had the original plans put together. And we realized like there are some individual courses out there you can get, but none of them teach everything you need to know, right? Video is a multi-year journey for most people. It's something you're going to be working on, getting better at for years to come. And we want to make it as simple as possible, right? So that's my couple minutes of pitch and kind of talking about it. I don't know if we had any questions come in while I was chatting there, but if we do, feel free to post them in the chat. But otherwise, that's pretty much what I got.
One quick question from Facebook. It says 97 there. Is it half or what is it?
It's half off of that. So you say 50%. So you're only going to pay $48.50 for the first month, right? So think of it this way: you pay $50. It's actually less than 50, but you pay about $50. You're going to get 4 video recipes. You're going to have access to all of our courses. You're going to have access to all of our workshops. You're going to see some awesome opportunities, some awesome interviews with influencers. There's all kinds of good stuff in there. But yeah, the first month, it's only $48.50.
All right. Sweet.
Cool.
Sign up, everybody. Jeff,
All right.
that was fun.
What do I have to say? Is that what you're asking?
No, I'm just saying that was fun.
You know what? I'm getting a StreamYard. I actually already have it. I'm gonna start using StreamYard. I saw somebody ask this earlier, Nick. I don't know if we discussed it, but somebody said, "How would you use this in your real estate business?" I think the answer to that question is if you're going to be doing like interviews, or you're going to be doing anything where you're going to be live streaming and including other people, and you're going to have a live audience. That's why I would use it. Zoom is very technical and still great. I use it all the time. But I would use, if all things are equal, I'm going to probably use Zoom more for business related. I'm going to use StreamYard more for like social media facing, because it just looks so much cooler and it's so much more eye appealing.
Agreed. All right, hold on. Phil says, is this recorded? Watch again. Phil, yes, thank you for asking that question. This is recorded. It will be posted to our YouTube channel in 2 days. And I think you'll also get a recording of this once it's done. So check out for that. And do me a favor, Phil, check out our classes here. Sign up. It's only $50, man. So thanks for being on. Nick, Jeff, thanks so much, guys.
Yep. See you guys.